Brilliant. I think we're good to go, Veronica.
Okay. Hi, everybody. It feels a bit strange because I can't see who you are. But anyway, I'm Veronica Stevens. I'm the Executive Director of Out There Arts. And welcome to this webinar, which will be led by Violaine Bailleul. Um, and this is all about international touring, and it's part of a package of support that we're offering to UK outdoor artists in connection with our project called Open Air, which is a 3-year Arts Council funded major projects grant that was kickstarted at Circus Strada Fresh conference last May. Some of you may have attended that event. The focus of the grant is about supporting the UK sector and through development of an international touring network and opportunities for showcasing UK work at their festival and internationally through our partner networks. And also, it offers a package of professional development support for UK outdoor artists in the shape of one-to-one mentoring and a series of webinars, of which this is the first. Um, Anyway, enough from me. I'm going to hand over to my colleague Marcin, who'll talk you through some housekeeping before we hand over to Violette.
Hello, everyone. So yes, just a quick run through the schedule. I'm about to hand over to Violaine, who will be talking about 50 minutes or so. Might be a little bit more because there's quite a lot to go through.
Yes.
But we'll go through that, and then as that is happening, everyone can use the Q&A function at the bottom of the screen. So if you've got any questions, do put the questions in there, and then when we get to the Q&A part, we'll sort of go through all the questions. Depending on how many we get, we might be able to get through them all, or we might select some questions that are quite have fruitful answers. Um, so yeah, I'll hand over to Violaine. I'm also going to launch a little poll with some questions to warm everyone up. So have a go at that while Violaine kicks things off. So over to you.
Okay, hello everyone. I think it's going to be challenging to do this introduction in 50 minutes, but you will see that anyway. There's I in my PowerPoint presentation, I put a lot of links for you to find more information in different websites. So at some point, if I didn't develop much, it's because you will find all the information somewhere else. So I'm Violaine. I work in Spain, in Andalusia. I'm French, but I work in Spain. I've got an agency with another partner. We actually do tour management. We do a bit of producing, especially funding bids. We write funding bids, and we do a bit as well of we organized some symposium and some congresses to do these kind of things to learn a bit more about the sector and to get a bit of professional advices. So here we go. I'm going to share the PowerPoint presentation. So I called it introduction because I think um, it's more what it is. It's an introduction to internationalization. Uh, if at some point there's like some aspects that we would like to see develop, then we can see maybe with out there if we can focus on a particular point later on, maybe in 2026. So basically today, what we are going to explore, it's let me get rid of my Outlook. We are going to first see what internationalization means for you. So it would be good. I don't know if Martin is possible to just if people want to just explain why they signed up for this webinar and if they have special expectations, like if they think that touring what they think touring abroad or being international will bring them. Then after that, so it's a quick introduction. We won't spend too much time on it, but then we will see the mobility challenges. Of course, there's a lot of paperwork. There's a lot of things to know when we need to travel outside the UK. After that, we will see some strategies and some tools to use in terms of sailing shows and approaching international partners. And then I listed you a lot of website where you can find a lot of contacts, mostly European, but you've got as well worldwide, and examples of festivals and fairs, networks, events. That is good to go to make some contacts. Oops, no, I'm going too quickly. Is someone maybe say something about
Yeah.
why they want to tour abroad? What are you after when you think about, okay, I work in the UK, it's very nice, but I would like to go outside. Do you have any expectation? I hope I'm not going to be too pessimistic, actually, when answering the question.
Yeah. So for the question of why do you want to tour abroad? Someone put new contacts,
Yeah.
inspiration, seeing different kinds of performances, understanding different cultural realities of work. Someone else put share work internationally, allow for collaboration abroad with artists and organizations outside our usual network. Someone put to show work outside their own network and to bring UK work to new audiences and to learn from their audiences and artists.
Yeah. Well, that's really good. Because I was worried someone was saying, well, to make a lot of money, because because that's not going to happen. Uh, because I mean, the international work in the end, I mean, depending where you go, but normally the fees are not better than in the UK, and the problem is you've got a lot of costs attached to your international tour. So in the end, it's not really like, it's not so much about earning money, but it's also about, we will see actually, it's more about, like you said, a personal and professional growth. Because you're going to go to festivals where you're going to meet other artists. You might develop actually a lot of new contacts or even collaborations. Who knows? You can do collaboration with other artists, and then you are going to meet a lot of, depending on festivals or fairs, but you normally meet programmers as well who can actually, if they see you in a festival, then they can take you to another one. You can, as someone says, I think, experience the reaction of the different audience and see, and you can, see how the different audiences work, how you can adapt your shows. So yeah, it's all about developing your network and your possible market. But then obviously, what's very, very difficult, it's long and tiring journeys. I mean, depending where you go, but it can be very tiring. All the logistical stress, we will see it in the mobility challenges. There are a lot of steps in terms of paperwork and logistic to make sure that everything is going to go okay. And obviously the added production cost of transport, the tax, the social security, the insurances as well, because you might have to uh, look at your insurance. Maybe it's not covering you outside the UK, so you might have to pay a bit of extra, etc. So that's that. So we were talking about the mobility challenges. There are like different ones you need to take into account, like visas and work permit. It depends where you go, but now obviously in Europe you might need to ask for work permit. It depends. You can travel to Europe without work permit or visas if you just visit a festival, or if you if you go just for a conference, or like as a tourist, you can be 90 days in Europe without work permit. You just need to do the ETIAS. There's a link here on the PowerPoint. But then obviously if you are going to be paid, you really need to go country by country and see with the embassy what exactly you need. And there's actually a very good guide about that. There's a website called Pearl Live Performance Europe, and it's quite good. And there's a lot of you will see that I put links of different guides. It's really complete, really well done. So it explains as well about social security, health, everything that we are going to see now. This website is very good, and I put the links everywhere on the PowerPoint presentation. So when you will receive it, you will just be able to explore on your own. So the social security is the same. You're paying your national insurance in UK. So to avoid to pay twice, you just need to fill in a form. It's not very complicated. It's just to, I think it's I think it's on the HMRC website, and there are different forms depending on if you are self-employed or if you're going through an agent. It's called the A1 form, but you will see there's also different type of form. So there's for self-employed is the CA 3837. I mean, I'm not going to go through all of them because it's a bit complicated, but you will find I put all the guide as well here. So depending on your situation, if you're employed, if you're self-employed, you can find the proper form. There's also a form for only if you go only to one, if you have only one contract, or if you have different contracts in different countries, you can fill in different forms. Regarding obviously the healthcare, you will have to go to the NHS website as well to ask for a special insurance card. You can also privately hire an insurance, a health insurance, but NHS is actually covering most of it. Then regarding the taxation, it's the same. It depends completely on the country. So you have again from this website Pearl, you've got all the all the information about the different taxation, and they did a form by country, so you can it's quite well done. So I don't really need to. We are not going to have time anyway to go country by country. In some countries, you need to be aware about the withholding tax. So it's a tax that is directly taken up from your fee. It can be avoided, but for example, with one of the company I work with, Violaine Bailleul, we went to United States, and we had to actually hire a lawyer to do all the paperwork because it was firstly anyway with the withholding tax you need to have a bank account in the United States, so you can't do it when you are outside. You need to hire a lawyer who is using his bank account to do all the paperwork, and then pay the withholding tax, and you pay the lawyer. It's a bit it's a bit complicated, but it's worth just paying a professional because to avoid like really big headaches. Then obviously the insurance, you need to see with your insurance provider if they are covering outside the UK or not. You might have to pay a bit of extra if to be covered in Europe and in other parts of the world. And then you need to decide if you need to decide about the ship. I mean, depending on your show, again, depending on the company, some companies they are able to travel with 2 suitcases, and then companies have a lot of set, and they will have to see if they want to travel, if they can travel with their van, depending on when you're going, or if you need to ship all the set. There are some specialized company that organize the freight. You will need to do the ATA carnet. I don't know if some of you come across it, but it's like an Excel spreadsheet where you put all the set that you are shipping or you are traveling with, because you need the ATA carnet as well when you travel by with your van. And you need to list every single box that you've got in your van, and then it needs to so in Spain, for example, it's the Chamber of Commerce that does that. In UK, I don't know, but again, I mean, if you Google ATA Carnet, and you will see all the agencies that can provide that. And then you need to be aware internationally, you will probably see that you need about your set. You might need, for example, to have your set with build with flame retardant materials, or all these things that you need to make sure, because if not, you're not going to be able to travel to United States, for example, or Canada, or these kind of places. They are quite, with health and safety, they are very, very strict. So yeah, then the contracts, they are usually in English, so you won't have much problem, I think, when you work internationally. Maybe some French people, they don't like to work in English, and you might have to learn French, but you need to really be careful with the scope of the work. It's so to make sure that it's the right production as well, because you never know, if you have different shows, they might made a mistake on the contract about the show, the performance schedule, the fees. Be careful with the fee of the show, the travel expenses. It's better to make sure that everything is detailed, so there's no like, oh no, you told me the travel expenses were included in the fee, and all these kind of misunderstandings. Also make sure they provide accommodation and the meals, all these things, or if they are not providing them, negotiate a price, so they are paying you the accommodation and per diems. And then be careful with the currency fluctuations. So try to negotiate your contract maybe in pounds instead of, so they pay you the amount you really want, because obviously if you go to Canada or United States, and you negotiate in dollar, then suddenly by the time between the time that you negotiated your contract and the time that they pay you, everything can change, and suddenly you've got like 500 quid less than what you thought, so or more. So be careful with that. So we already talked about liability insurance. So make sure to, in the contract, who is in charge of what. For example, your set normally is your responsibility. So depending on the theater where you're going, or the festival or the outdoor festival, see who is in charge of what, making sure that you're covered. And the technical requirements, so that's the part that is sometimes very, very complicated, because you think that in your technical needs, the technical requirements you send to the programmer, you think you have like detailed everything. You asked for a smooth floor or a very flat floor, and suddenly you arrive at the festival or at the venue, and you have like something with a percentage of how do you say, the I mean, it's not flat. And if you've got like a sail wheel, for example, you can't do it. Or for example, if you normally travel with your own linoleum for the stage, but then you couldn't ship it because it's too heavy, then you really need to make sure that they are providing the floor, the dance floor, at the venue. All these things you need to be really, really careful, because once you arrive there, sometimes it's difficult to correct things. And then the typical clause about the dispute resolution. So make sure that normally it's always in the country of where the event takes place. So just make sure that you think that everything is okay. The termination clause as well. Maybe think about an indemnization if they are canceling before, like after a certain amount of time. So if you are already traveling, so if you have started already to spend money for, or for you already paid your ATA carnet, you already paid, a series of things, make sure that they will be reimbursed if there's a last minute cancellation or all these kind of things. Or there's also, if you are waiting for example, a funding application, you don't know if you've been successful with a funding application that is supposed to pay part of your travel expenses. I would say put it in the contract and say that if you receive your funding application, they can contribute less for your travel expenses, but if you are not successful, then they need to pay that amount of money or something like that, just to be on the safe side. So then the main thing then no, we saw mobility quite quickly, but I think it's because when you will receive the PowerPoint, you will see there's a lot of different links you can access to, and you can have a lot more information about all these different points I mentioned. When we talk about strategies, the main thing is to define the objectives. So I suppose depending on I suppose today you are probably different companies. Some are purely circus, some are outdoor theater. So you know your objectives might be a bit different. Some circus companies they only work in indoor. Some do indoor outdoor, etc. So you really need to think about what am I doing? What is my work? What am I offering to the programmer and try to target this, because in sales it's I think it's a waste of time when you do big mailings and you send to everybody. You receive, like, you go to networking event and you have this long list of professional who have been attending, and then you just send the information to everybody. But it's probably better to target exactly where you want to go, why, and actually do a more personalized email saying, for example, I've seen that you program this company or this company, and I think my work would fit perfectly because that's the same artistic line. Um, I think it's these kind of emails might be more best received. So really, you need to think about your show, or think about it's like a product. So you need to think about okay, I've got a project, I need to sell it. I want to go internationally. Um, what can be a problem? For example, if you are a street theater company and you've got a lot of text, that can be a problem. Do I need translation? How can I do, or do I record the narrative in different languages? You need to think about all these things. And also something very important, you need to see the priorities. Why do you want to travel? Why do you want to go abroad? Is it because you want to gain more visibility? So then you can think about trying to go to big festival, even if they are not paying very well, but you really want to be part of the program to kind of have to to have a better profile, to raise your profile a bit. Or if you're just thinking, no, I want to go to small festivals, but they pay a fee and I'm covered, and I want to actually do, imagine for example, in France, for example, there's a network in the Atlantic side of France, and the festivals they agree, and if you enter one festival, you can go to two or three on the same in July or in August. So all these kind of things, you just want to travel, for example, for 1 month and just fill your calendar. So it depends a bit. And then when you define all these things, then you can think about, okay, um, now how I reach, all these objectives, and you can think about how I'm going to know all these people that could be interested in my show. How can I get to know them and get their attention? Um, so that's the other part of the sales strategies. You also need to define your unique selling point. Think that if you go abroad, most of the festivals or the venues, they are receiving already a lot of information from their local companies, the local circus and street theater and dance companies. So they are overloaded with emails, dossier, receiving a lot of information. So in some way, you need to show them that your work is different, and it can bring something else that they can't find in their own country. Um, so I put some example. It can be that you have skills, circus skills that are not so seen in, for example, if you, I don't know, if you go to the Nordic countries, maybe you're doing something that they don't really have, or you're making the audience participate into your show, or you've got you are treating like a specific um, theme that is not really that we don't really talk about in other countries. So you need to think about all these things. Then your dossier can be sent in English because, as you know, is the international language. If you think that it's good as well to have a version of your dossier in French or in Spanish, it's always good because we know that not everybody speak different languages, and maybe the big festivals and the big venues, the directors, they will probably speak a lot of different languages. But if you think about a small cultural center in the middle of Germany, maybe this person doesn't I mean, Germany is not a good example because they speak very well English there. But Spain, for example, in Spain there are so many people they don't know how to speak English. So think about it. It's an investment to translate all your dossier, but it can be useful. And most important, clear information, of course, and good quality pictures, because you're competing with so many companies that you really need a very good material with very good pictures, professional pictures, not pictures that you've taken from your phone or a friend has done for you. You really need professional pictures. And use all you can to sell yourself. So if you have like awards or all your achievements, put them in the dossier. If you have partners, if you for example, you did a residency somewhere that is quite a well-known venue, or you need to put it in there. All the things that can help you be recognized. Then obviously the web page, you really need to update it regularly. And the video is very important. So the same as pictures. Um, don't ask your neighbor to come with a camera and to film your show. You really need to invest in a proper video, because imagine like a programmer can receive 200 emails a day with a lot of offers. So you really need to stand out. And if you have like a video that is not really well edited, it can be very cruel. So another tool that is quite important is to have a database software. Personally, I use FileMaker Pro, but it's a very old one. I suppose there are now new ones that are much better. But it's quite good because if you go to a lot of festival network events and you received an Excel spreadsheet at the end of it, it's really good to take it and import it into your database software, because the software is going to to then help you to filter, for example, um, if if suddenly you have one date in Belgium, so you're going to you've got a contract for one day in Belgium and you really want to find other places on your way to go or other places in Belgium, or you simply want to invite programmers to come and see you, then in a database, in a software that you can just put Belgium and all the contacts that you have in Belgium will appear. You can also put notes because it's very important as well to keep track of who you send information to, especially if you have different shows. Um, it's good, and all these softwares they are really good to do like filters and research. And you can search, for example, to who I send the information about my show, blah, and then you put the name, and then you have all the lists. So it's very useful tool to save time because Excel spreadsheet tend to be limited. So personally, I think it's important. Then you've got obviously the online direct marketing. I suppose you are already doing it nationally. So internationally, it's working as well. To be honest, I used to work with MailChimp during years, and only 20% of the listing I was sending it to was really opening it. So nowadays, I just do personalized emails. I do to one person, one by one, and I think it's working a bit better. The only thing is, it's true that with MailChimp uh, or the online direct marketing providers, what is good is you can see who has opened your email. You can see if they clicked on the link that you sent. So that's quite good to keep track. But you need to know that there's a lot of people that are just going to avoid and not look at those kind of emails. So obviously, one thing that is very important is for people to see your project. We are in the performing arts sector is a very human sector. We need to see each other, we need to exchange, we need to meet each other. If you meet programmers, they will open your email, while if you don't know them, you've got a chance of being at the end of the queue. So the best thing and the best advice when you think about going internationally is to actually travel, even if it's just one person of your company that you decide is the person who is going to sell your show, or your agent, or an agency that is representing you. This person needs to go to festivals, meet people, go to even not only the festivals abroad. There are some festivals in UK you can attend where you will meet international programmers. Like Festival Out There, actually, it's a very good example because they have been building on relationships with international partners, and there are a lot of international programmers going there. And there's always networking events organized by Out There where you can meet potential partners. So you can start in UK, then you need to move internationally and find networking events. Circus Strada, for example, they are organizing a lot of events like the Fresh Circus, Fresh Street, these type of events. You are going to meet so many people who can actually help you, give you advices, You can talk about your show, you can talk about your project. It can also be a project with social impact people will be interested in, and workshops. It can be all type of things. Then it's quite important as well for people to see your show. So it's not always easy to get programmed somewhere. So you can try to apply to showcase. There are some festivals and fairs. They do showcases. So you show that just a part of your show, and that's normally not paid. So you will need to invest in this kind of places. But to be honest, if you think to move to international touring, you need to think about investing, because you might have to go to this type of fairs that are not paying any fees, but they are inviting a lot of programmers. So you're going to show your work in front of a lot of professionals. So I'm talking about, for example, there's one in Germany, International Kulturbörse. It's a bit of a strange thing. It's like a fair, like can be the fair of the informatic, or the fair of the I don't know, the agriculture fair. So it's like in a big building, and you've got and everybody's got a stand to have their publicity and to talk. But then you also have the opportunity to show 20 minutes of your show. So they have different stages, and it's one show after the other. You need to be very quick. You don't have time. You have like 10 minutes to change. There's a 10 minutes changeover between one show and another. It's very stressful, but at the same time, you're showing your show to a lot of different people, because they are all your audience is going to be 100% professionals from the sector. So that's as well very, very good to start entering into a market. So it's the same if you want to go to the off festival of Chalon dans la rue. Chalon is, you will show your entire show, so that's a bit better. Or Aurillac, all these kind of festivals, you can try to, you need to apply to the festival off. But I think it's easier, obviously, than trying to get into the program paid. So I think you really need your show needs to be seen. So at some point you need to invest and say, okay, I'm going there and I'm going there. Or there's also another way is some festival they organize pitchings. So you just go and you've got 5-10 minutes you can show a video, but it's the same. At least you're showing a video of your show in front of professionals, and you're sure they are going to see it, because when you send it by email, you're not sure they are going to click the link of your video. So that's another way of making contacts. In Circa in France, in Auch, they do they give pitching opportunities. It's not directly managed by Circa. It's actually Artsena, which is Artsena. It's an organization that is it's a French organization to promote all type of performing arts. They merge with Circostra, I think. No, not with Circostra, with Orlémieux. Sorry, Orlémieux was specifically for outdoor arts, and now they are part of Artsena as well. And obviously, if just for the visualization, but you know that already. You need to be very active on social media. Um, you need to, so once you've done your objectives that we saw earlier, and you know where you want to go, who you want to meet, uh, what festival, what venues you think it's exactly what the program, exactly what you do. So you need to follow them on everything: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I mean, Twitter, I don't recommend, but that's each one. I mean, all the social media, social networks you are part of, LinkedIn, all these things, make sure you are following them, because then you receive all the information as well from them. And if you are going to perform um, in a different country, invite the programmers from the country, even if they are far away and they are not going to come. Invite them, because it's a way of getting in touch with them, giving them news. So every excuse is good to get in touch. And what else can we say? Oh yeah, that's so that's some websites that I collected for you, where you can find a lot of directories, and especially Circus is very good. So they list all the festival, but that's for circus and street arts. Then extracts that you probably all know. They have a directory. I'm not sure how often it's updated, but it can be a good way of starting. And then you've got the associations as well of each country, like ISACs in Ireland. It's really good to see who their members are, because you will you will see all the festival, the circus festival, street arts festivals. Um, and yeah, I mean, I put an entire list on the move. It's a really nice website for actually, with a lot of tips as well for touring, for traveling. Uh, Catalan arts, it's quite good for Catalonia, but for international in general as well, because it's actually a website for Catalonian companies, but they give them all the call out from different festivals in Europe. So it's quite nice. You will see all the, so, because as you know, some festivals um, they are opening a call out when they are looking for performances, but others they don't. Others it's all by email to their artistic director. It depends completely. So that's another part of the research. You need to research. Each one works differently, and some artistic directors, they always would want to see the show first. Actually, for example, in Germany, there's this festival called Panopticum, which is more like for children's theater, but they have a budget and they travel to see shows. So you can invite them to see your show, and they will come and see. They don't program if they are not seeing if they haven't seen the show. So that's what quite useful. And then what I did is I'm going to talk about only 4 countries, because I didn't have time to do more than that. Um, but again, I mean, you can find a lot of information online. But for example, Belgium. Um, so they have a network of festivals, mainly who starting doing this thing which is called circus circuit. And on this website, for example, you can find a lot of festival name, and they explain what festival does what and what they program, if they program indoor, outdoor. So it's quite useful. Then we were talking previously about this type of festival. They don't pay you the fee, but they invite so many programmers that it's worth trying to get programmed there just to make some contacts. That's one of them is City of Wings in Hyper. So it's outdoor festival, so it's all type of outdoor arts. There's installations as well. And so you need to apply, since I think actually it was yesterday, the last day to apply for 2026, but they are not paying any fee, but they provide accommodation and food, and it's very good. They have a space where you've got your stand, so you can put your flyer, and then you are normally performing. I mean, they ask you how many performances you can do in one day, but normally you perform twice a day during 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, and sometimes as well from Friday. So there's a lot of chance that programmers will see you, and it's very good to actually. There's a lot of programmers from Belgium, from the east and north of France. There are some from Italy as well. I mean, they are really it's and from Flanders, from Flanders, Belgium, and Holland as well. So yeah, it's very good. I recommend. I've been there with 4 different companies, and we always got some work. So it was a good way to start in Belgium. And then I listed different festivals as well that are quite interesting but you will be able to see that when you will receive the PowerPoint presentation. And then obviously Spain, where I live. So an interesting so yeah we there is a website you can double check. Is the website of Circo Red. It's the federation of all the association, the circus association, but that's more like for circus. Um, but it's not really, and it's not a network in the sense that it's not an organization that is helping you to tour. It's more like if you want to double check the members, you can find out some contact details. But then in Spain we have a lot of fairs. They pay you a bit of your fee, but a small fee, because they invite a lot of programmers, so they consider that because it's like to promote your show, they pay a minimal fee. And we have Fira Tàrrega in Catalonia, which is outdoor arts. They have also indoor shows, but normally it's a type of indoor shows. It's not only theatrical productions. It's like a type of indoor that is site specific or is combined arts. And Fira Tàrrega, they have also a lot of conferences, a lot of networking events during the festival, during the Fira. So I recommend really to go there and meet people. It's really good to meet people because they have also this space where everybody's got a stand, and it's really easy to meet people. It's a good place. Fila Trapezi as well. It's a good place, but that's specifically circus, circus indoor or outdoor. That's normally a good place to meet people as well. Umore Azoka in Leioa, which is in Basque Country. That's a good one for outdoor arts. So all type of outdoor arts. It can be dance as well. They have quite a lot of dance in the street and theater. And then you have a list of festivals. Um, I think the most famous one is the TAC Valladolid, which is quite big, and they are actually programming quite a lot of shows from outside Spain. And another one that is programming a lot from outside Spain is Fit Carrer in Villarreal. So those one are quite good to have a look at. And then France, obviously, in street arts and in circus, they're quite they've got. I mean, that's only 10% of what they have, on the list because it's very well developed. So I put you some links to see some networks. Obviously, you have all the les pôles nationaux. That's for circus, but you have the same actually for street art. I didn't put it here, but you can find it online. And then Le Chaînon Manquant, it's a bit different. It's more performing arts in general, but it can be interesting because they are including outdoor arts and a lot of music as well. But and then you have a lot of networks that are by region. So I put only two regions here, but you have it almost everywhere. And then I put obviously some festival like Aurillac, Chalon dans la Rue, where you can apply, you can start maybe applying to the off, which is easier to get. And and then there's an interesting one. Actually, there's an interesting one which is Cratère Surface. It's in Alès in the south of France, and I think they are going to do an highlight on UK, but I'm not sure. So it's not going to be 2026. I'm not sure if it's 2027 or 2028. But yes, so be aware that this you need to double check this link because at some point they might open a call for proposals for UK artists. And what else? I've got Germany. So in Germany, there's two different, I think, association for circus artists or networks for circus. There's Circus On, and there's another one that is called Buzz. But at some point, I thought they had merged, but I'm not sure. So you might have to double check. And for the fairs, you have the one that we talked about, the Kulturbörse in Freiburg, which is the one I was talking about that is 20 minutes showcases. And then you've got Paderborn performance, which is outdoor. So that's one that is I mean, at Kulturbörse, they have also an outdoor space, but it's not outdoor, it's actually inside the big venue they have, but it's specific for outdoor shows. And then Paderborn, it's just outdoor. And then you have again a small list of festivals, but obviously there are many more. But it's just to give you it's just to give you an idea and a few contacts to start with. But obviously, I mean, if you go to the Circostrada website, you will see that there are so many more. Yeah, and that's it. I think, I mean, that was a quick presentation. I didn't, I could have developed a bit more with more personal experiences, but maybe we can do that now with the Q&A.
Brilliant. Thanks, Violaine. That was really fantastic. So yeah, if anyone has any questions for the Q&A bit, there should be a button on your screen called Q&A. So if you just type it in there and we can pull up that question and answer it, hopefully.
Yeah, because I went quite quickly through the mobility challenges, but I've got a lot of stories to tell about things happening. Um,
So the
but
first question we got is
yeah,
repeat the name of the software you recommend for keeping a database.
so I use FileMaker Pro. Maybe I should type it somewhere, or I don't know. It's but it's quite. To be honest, it's an old one because I started with FileMaker Pro when I was 23, so in 2001, something like that. So yeah, but I'm sure nowadays there are many more. Um, there are better ones. Maybe I should. I mean, yeah, I forgot to say you've got my email here as well if you want to email some.
Yeah, brilliant. So for, yeah, FileMaker Pro. That's for you. Um,
Uh, yeah, so to be honest, I mean, the best thing to connect with festival, yeah, outside. I mean, it's a bit more complicated to go outside of Europe, but the best again, it's to go there. Um, I know that it's not always easy to travel to China or to travel to United States or to travel to um, Canada. But again, there are if you search as well online, you will have a lot of different networks where you can access. Again, it depends if you are more like street theater or if you are more circus. You do both. Then in Canada, for example, there's a really good one to go is Complètement Cirque, which is at the TOU, it's the National Circus venue in Quebec. No, depending where you want to go. In Korea, they are very, very active, and in South Korea, of course. Um, and they have plenty of festival and networking events as well, but it's not always easy to travel to Korea. Um, but normally you should get their contact details on the website. Again, if you're not able to travel so far, there are a lot of festivals in Europe that are not so far from you, where you can meet a lot of people. For example, there's always, well, this year at Fresh Street we had people from Hong Kong. There were people from, I don't know if there were people from Taiwan, but you can also just try to have a look at where you can network here or in Europe. In Paris, there's always a lot of opportunities as well. Have a look at as well. There's Crying Out Loud is doing a lot of things as well in outside the UK. So try to go to their website because they are part of Talent Europe, I think. And there are also always some networking events going on in Paris, and it's just the Eurostar, so it's not that complete you know. Um, yeah, so good question about the international booking agent. Yeah, I mean, what I would recommend is to have actually a booking agent in every country because to be honest, someone can come to you and say, "Oh, I'm an international booking agent and I can get your tour internationally, la la la," but one person is unable to know all the networks and all the contacts in every single country. So the best is to have an agent in each country. Obviously, it's not easy to get neither because this agent will have to see your work to see if she wants to collaborate with you. So again, we come back to the fact that you need to show your work. So probably go to festivals like Ypres in Belgium or Chalon dans la rue in France, or all these kind of things where there is a lot of agents as well, because agents, they need to travel to all the festivals to network, so you will meet them as well. Um, I'm seeing as well. Thank you. What has been your biggest learning curve? But I'm learning every day. With international, I think there's always things you think you have. You are controlling everything, and there's always something. There are so many things to think about when you start touring shows internationally. That, for example, I remember when my even circle went to United States. It was funny because they had this show where we had some nuts on stage. It was part of the props, and just before, let me was maybe only 1 or 2 weeks before going there. Suddenly, because we actually shipped the nuts directly to the theater where we were performing. And they called me and they said, "Oh, we are going to have a problem because people might be allergic to nuts, so we can't have them on stage." And I was just like, "Oh dear, what about that?" And so they proposed all kind of things that we could recreate nuts like props, but like fake nuts. I was like, "No, we really needed our nuts." I mean, in the end, I just managed to say, "Can we not just ask the audience that are allergic to nuts that they can be at the balcony instead of being, close to the stage?" But it's this kind of thing. There's always, and I think it's cultural. So there are always going to be things that are cultural internationally that you don't expect. But it's because I think Americans, they are a bit crazy with the health, and because I don't think like I mean, if someone is very allergic, but I don't think a nut on stage that doesn't touch you shouldn't affect. But but yeah, lots of different learning curve as well. There's something I mentioned at the beginning, but it's really important as well, is the fact that you might have to, if you go internationally, you need to think financially if you can or cannot do it. Because, for example, when we went to Hong Kong, we had to buy all the flight tickets in advance, the shipment of our set. You need to pay that in advance because then Hong Kong was reimbursing, but after we had paid the invoice, and it was the government of Hong Kong that was paying us, and it took every time it took like 15 days to get the payment. So you need to think that you have a bit of treasury to pay for all the travels and everything. Um, yes, I'm sure there are some. Sorry, I'm reading the. Could you say if any of these festivals are particularly interested in showcasing disabled artists? I'm sure. I'm sure there are plenty. I have to say, I'm not working with any company, but another tip that I forgot to say actually, which is linked to this, is if you want to see where you can work abroad, the best thing as well is to have a look at your other companies that are doing the same things what you do. For example, in your case, um, for example, I think it's Kandoko company, right, who works with disabled artists. There are quite a few here as well in Spain. You can have a look at what I can do. It's Marina, right? If you email me privately, I can find you some companies here in Spain and in France working with disabled artists, and you can go to their website and see where they are touring, and then you will discover who is, the festivals or the venues that are more inclined in programming this type of performances. And it's the same with everybody. For example, if in your show, for example, you work with puppets, or if you work with, you have different skills, you can try to find companies that are a bit similar to what you do, and then you just have a look at their calendar and their touring, and you can just say, oh, well, if they tour there, then you know I might have a chance. I don't know if I answered, but actually, the name of the dancer, I don't know if you can see what I'm writing. Being Cublados is the company here in Spain that is, here we go. Is there any other?
Great. I think that's all the
Any
questions we've got
other?
so far. If anyone else has anything else, please do type. But yeah, some great questions so far and answers. Thank you. We'll give it a few seconds, and if not, I think that sounds like it's everything.
But yeah, there are so many things to think about, and obviously, I wanted to treat a lot of different aspects. So maybe I've been a bit quick on each one, but there's no recipe really, I'm afraid, to work outside. If it's not just like to mainly try to get to know the festival, the venues, the people. It's always best when you have a direct contact with someone, and ask for help. Actually, if you have friends, I mean, because we know that in our sector, all the companies, we know each other, and if there are like companies you know very well, they already tour a lot abroad, you can ask them, you know, how they do it. You can get recommended. You can ask, for example, there's an artist in Catalonia. He works quite a lot abroad, and he's always recommending his friends. So then, then sometimes you receive an email saying that, someone is interested in your work because Pau gave him your contact details. So, so we need to share the work as well. It's one of the rule is not to keep the contact for ourselves, because anyway, a programmer, if he's programming a company 1 year, normally he's not going to program again the same company the year after. He's going to wait. So it's always good to share the contacts and give to others the opportunity. There's no point of keeping the information to oneself.
So another question I can't remember beyond. Do you factor in extra rest days if traveling overseas to perform a highly physical show?
Do you factor rest days? Yeah. So yes, that's a very good question. Actually, you need to put it in your budget. But that needs to be part of the fee, really, because the programmers, they are not going to you know, to understand probably that you're asking for an extra pay. So you just put it if when you that another webinar I could do is about budgeting, but yeah, you just need to add onto your cost, and then when you give your fee, that extra day is already in there. It depends where you're going to travel, but that's a good one. Yeah. And obviously, if you think that you know your show is very physical, and some festival they ask for 2 or 3 performances a day, don't think about it, because what you want to do is also take care of your performers, your artists. They so that's very important to know, to don't overwork. It's probably better to say I can offer only one performance a day, instead of saying, yeah, I can do 3, and then it's a nightmare for everybody.
Brilliant. Okay, doesn't seem to be any more questions. So think we come to a close. So thank you for everyone for attending the first webinar for our open air project, and very big thanks to Violaine for her webinar, and also generously sharing the PowerPoint. So I'll be following up on an email
Yeah.
with the PowerPoint attached, and any of this information that we discussed today. Um, it's worth flagging as well that we've got a couple more webinars coming up in the new
Mm.
year. The first one's on the 29th of January, and then the second one will be on the 5th of February. And they are a bit more focused on sort of environmental touring. So what to consider when you tour internationally, how do you keep it green, essentially. So we'll be following up with more information on that very
Yeah.
soon. But yeah, thank you for myself. Any last words, Elaine or Veronica?
No,
Um,
just yeah, email if you, I mean, email me really if you have like specific questions. I will try to answer. Yeah.
I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for taking the time to attend, and once again, thank you, Violaine. It was really interesting. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Great. Thank you all. Bye.
Bye.